Pick it up from last year. Shoot on my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down. Aiming for greatness, no settling. Kick down the doors, they won't let me in. Taking no L's, yeah, I gotta win. Watch me kick down the doors, they won't let me in. Who running the game now? Foot on the gas, can slow down. No, my team, we holding it down. We know we running it now. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change, yeah. Tell them that's life, yeah, it's still I be. I'm taking a shot for my enemies. I can't waste no more time on my energy. I know they know I got it on lock. Go against me, that's a long shot. Cause I'm counting wins all around the clock. Never doubt me, boy, I don't stop. Who do you feel when they make you the monster? I am not scared of none of you imposters. Taking the lead now while they watching. Think you should leave now while the option. Taking no L's, yeah, I gotta win. Watch me kick down the doors, they won't let me in. I'm running the game now. Foot on the gas, can slow down, no.
Welcome to another edition of the It's Cavalier podcast. It's your boy Mac, and tonight our Cleveland Cavaliers were back in action as they took on the Brooklyn Nets on the road at the Barclays Center, a place they've done battle exactly 21 times prior to tonight's outing, dating back to its opening back in November of 2012. And when you just think about that, like, wow, it's crazy that it has already been 12 years since that place opened. Well, tonight makes 22 games, and with tonight's victory, the Cavs moved a little bit closer to being 500 within that building as they are now 10-12 against the Nets at Barclays Center. These are two franchises that are heading in two opposite directions, obviously, but that does not mean that shit cannot hit the fan once players step in between those lines. That was not the case tonight. Tonight was an absolute ass whipping of the highest accord, of the highest order. The Cavaliers delivered a wire-to-wire victory. It felt as if this team just could do no wrong tonight. And we already know, like, it doesn't matter what the opponent is on any given night in the NBA. If you take your opponent too loosely, then you can walk away with the L. That did not happen tonight as the Cavaliers came to play, and it was apparent from Jump Street. I mean, this is a team that still features some talented players, right? I know people love to clown Ben Simmons, but Ben Simmons is still a talented facilitator. He puts up some rather odd stat lines because he still doesn't shoot for shit. He doesn't give an attempt to try, but he still does some fascinating things out there. And, you know, you still got Daron Sharp and Dorian Finney-Smith who are capable of doing some things. But the real draw for Brooklyn is obviously Cam Johnson, who continues to be a much discussed hot commodity in regards to deadline targets. He has been hit and miss against the Cavaliers over the course of his career. In 9 career matchups prior to tonight, Johnson held averages of just 10.9 points, 4.2 rebounds, 1.6 assists, shot just 36.4% from the field, which includes 34.7% from three-point distance. This is the wing that the Cavaliers want to acquire, right? Theoretically. I know fans want to see that be the case, but I mean, they have clamped up. Yeah, they have clamped up Cam Johnson over his now 10 career matchups against this team. It didn't necessarily feel like that at points tonight because Cam, he would come out and drop 22 points and 5 assists on 5 of 10 from the field, including 3 of 6 from three-point distance. But all that said, prior to tonight, they had definitely been destroying Cam Johnson and limiting him to very slow and low stats across the board. The Cavaliers put in work tonight. Another brilliant performance where they go over 130. They have yet to fall below 100 points this year. This offense is just doing some crazy shit this year. They had 7 players score in double figures tonight, led by none other than Donovan Mitchell. Actually led by Evan Mobley. Oh my gosh, Evan Mobley, 21 points. Donovan Mitchell only had 18 tonight. But I'll tell you what, the real story, I think we all saw what happened out there, was Caris LeVert. This man was absolutely ballistic in the first half as he scored all 19 of his points in that first half, drilling 6 triples. And just to give you a little bit of insight here, Caris LeVert has now drilled 6 triples at least 4 times in his career, 3 of those coming with the Cavaliers. His career high is 7. That came back with Brooklyn during the 2021-22 season. But this man has been just absolutely phenomenal to begin this season. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Kenny Atkinson is getting this out of him. This is something that I think everybody saw coming to a degree, right? He played his best basketball under Kenny Atkinson. So I think we all kind of expected that he would, return to form and look like he looked during his early Brooklyn years. But I don't think anybody quite expected him to play the level of basketball that he has played to begin this season. I mean, this man has been brilliant from the field. He has been brilliant from beyond the arc. He has been brilliant as a defender. And the only real gripe that I have with Caris LeVert at this point in time is frankly just the free throw line, right? Something that he has not necessarily been good at his entire career. He entered tonight shooting just 69% from 3-point range. From the charity stripe, but it's hard for me to complain. I mean, this dude is shooting 46.5% from 3-point distance, 52.5% from the field, and he has limited his opponents to, I think, 75 of 201 or 203 from the field. He has been an excellent defender. And as soon as he entered the game tonight, his presence was immediately felt on both ends of the floor. And I think that has been like the most impressive thing to me is like, it's not just coming on the offensive side of the ball. It's coming on both ends of the floor. Even if Caris LeVert isn't touching the ball a ton, he can make his presence felt surely by being a lengthy defender out there, a guy who will move the ball around and knock down shots offensively when you need him to. And the Cavaliers, that is a luxury for them to have on a team that is already, frankly, stacked from an offensive standpoint. When you're talking about the likes of Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and we can't forget about players like Ty Jerome, Jared Allen and company. There's just so many guys who are capable of going off on any given night. So many guys who are capable of being Cleveland's best player on any given possession, right? And that is no disrespect to Donovan Mitchell, because Donovan Mitchell is clearly their best player, but any one of these guys is capable of looking like the Cavs' best player in any particular game. That is how stacked that they are on that end of the court. It's just been so awesome to see them do what they have done this season. But LeVert, man, he's just been phenomenal this year. I cannot be more proud of this guy, because essentially what he has done, if you guys have paid attention, he has limited his mid-range looks, right? Very, very few on this season. It's essentially at the rim or beyond the arc for Caris. That is basically it. The ISO possessions, they're down tremendously, as we're not seeing a lot of ISO ball outside of maybe a particular possession here and there from Donovan Mitchell, who is guilty of hero ball at times, but you expect that from a player like Donovan, who's just so immensely gifted as a scorer. But yeah, you're not really seeing the type of tendencies from Caris that you would have in years past. You're not seeing him take terrible terrible long twos or mid-range jumpers that just go completely out of the flow of the offense. He is either attacking the rim, where he's felt like it's been pretty efficient this year, or he has been drilling tray after tray after tray. And to see him be in the top 10 and 3-point percentage this year on pretty solid volume, that has to warm your heart. This is a player just from Ohio, right? Has Ohio roots. He probably signed for cheaper than he could have. So it was good to get him back in town. And he is going to be due for another contract after this season, which really, really is going to complicate things for this team. But I after coming into this season as a man who felt that this was probably going to be Caris's last season, the way that he has started off this year, it has made me do a complete 180 on that stance. I know it's not going to be completely in Cleveland's hands, but I am now team keep Caris LeVert at whatever cost. Keep this man in town with the way that he has played, because I truly believe that it does not. I just don't believe you're going to be able to get a player who can be as impactful and has so much utility out there without giving up a core piece of this team. It's just not going to happen. I think that Caris is somebody who can be a legitimate sixth man of the year candidate player on any given night. And that is what he has looked like. He probably won't win the award this season, and everybody's making it out to be Peyton Pritchard's award to lose. But Caris is definitely deserving of the praise that I am heaping on him right now. And I think I'm probably not the only person that feels that way. He has been that important to this Cavs team this season. It's why in some games, Ty Jerome has kind of been like an afterthought. And we're talking about a player in Ty Jerome who's also had a very good start to the season as well, a career start to his year. But Caris, man, when he plays like he does tonight, he is capable of changing the entire trajectory of a game off the bench. 19 points in 19 minutes on 6 of 10 from the field, including 6 of 9 from three-point range. 6 triples in the first half alone. Again, he has managed to drop 6 triples just 4 times, if I'm not mistaken, in his career, including tonight. Just absolutely crazy to see him go that ballistic the way that he did. And basically all of that production being in the first half. There's actually the highest amount of first half triples in his career today. He did it one other time. That, again, was in the career high game that he had, where he had 7 triples back in his Brooklyn days. But clearly one of the better shooting performances that we have seen from him since he came to Cleveland. And so I'm glad that a lot of people are kind of eating shit in regards to that, because we know how inconsistent LeVert can be. We get it. We know what he can be like. But I think Kenny Atkinson, him coming to town, has just completely changed the trajectory of his career, right? How he's being viewed, because I would not venture to think it is a crazy thought to say that Caris LeVert probably would have been gone mid-season. And don't get me wrong, we're not there yet, right? It's definitely, we'll have to go into the trade deadline and, cross our fingers that none of these big-time players that we've seen this year, like a Jerome or a LeVert, Okoro's having what I would consider a career year, especially as a shooter. But there are a number of guys who could be moved that I hope are not, that I didn't necessarily feel that way at the beginning of the season. And Caris LeVert is definitely at the top of that list. So absolutely brilliant performance from him tonight. Somebody who's probably not going to get enough love for the game that he had tonight is George Niang. Big George out there, the minivan, the G-Wagon, whatever the fuck you want to call him. 17 points, 9 rebounds, 7 of 10 from the field, 2 of 5 from three-point distance, plus 28 according to Bleacher Report. Look, this man, Caris LeVert, this man, George Niang, is capable of spacing the floor. We know that. But even in games where he does not space the floor, his ability to drive the basketball has been underrated to begin the year. He is somebody that it does not look pretty when he does it, but more often than not, it's going to work. It's going to drop for him when he's attacking the basket. It's not something that I advocate for on every single possession for him, but he clearly, when he receives the ball from the perimeter, he can clearly attack a closeout, and it's been crisp. And this dates back to last year. I don't think a lot of people understand that, but George has actually been very, very efficient at doing that since he came to Cleveland. It's just being exemplified this year with some of the looks that he is getting, but he has been attacking closeouts like a madman. And the shooting is starting to creep its way back up, right? The percentages did not start off all that well this year, but he is starting to slowly but surely get those back into good standing. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is updated as of today, but now back up to 36% range, 36.1%, according to StatMuse. But he's clearly somebody that can help the Cavaliers in the long run, like in long term, right? When I'm thinking about a playoff run, I think that because there are certain points where even myself had felt like I'm not so certain that George Niang would be in a playoff rotation for this Cavs team. It's certainly not under JB Bickerstaff if JB was still here, because I felt like he probably would have got pulled because of shortened rotations. But the rotations that Kenny Atkinson seems comfortable with, I think that a lot of it is sustainable come the playoffs. And I'm starting to believe more and more, like with the way that he has been playing, even when his shot isn't necessarily falling at a high clip, I think that Niang can contribute in a postseason setting. And I know the whole gripe with Niang is that he's a regular season guy. You haven't seen it really translate in the playoffs, but I'm starting to slowly but surely believe that that can be the case for him. The rebounding, that is definitely something that I was heavily impressed with from him tonight. If I am not mistaken, this was his third performance of the season, pulling down at least 8 rebounds. And he had 9 tonight. He won shy of the double-double. And you guys, man, I wanted that double-double so bad. But this is now his third performance. He's pulled down at least 8 rebounds. And it's been pretty good for him. It has definitely been something that I did not expect from him, because he's not a noted rebounder at all, but he's held his ground down there, put some solid positioning in place, and it's led to him averaging a career best 3.9 rebounds on this season. And I hope that that continues. I don't know what the rotation is going to look like as Max Strus comes back. I really honestly don't know who's going to be out, who's going to be in, who's going to lose minutes, but it's a good problem to have. I guess suffice it to say, it's probably a good problem to have and a good position to be in when you have all of these players who are rather deserving of minutes, and you may not have a spot for them on a game to game or in an every game basis. It'll probably just be game to game where, hey, this guy, maybe he's not impacting the game as much as we wanted him to, so we're going to curtail his minutes a little bit, insert this guy, see what he can do. And Kenny Atkinson kind of seems like he excels at doing that, pulling all the right levers this year. It's something that has led to the Cavaliers having the top record in the NBA at 23-4. His ability to adjust in game from a rotational standpoint and pull guys when they need to be pulled, insert guys when they need to be inserted, it has been something to marvel at, because we haven't been used to this over the past couple of years under JB. And I think that speaks volumes about his trust in particular players. Like, people have been constantly shitting on Sam Merrill and his lack of a consistent 3-point shot this year. And tonight is obviously not going to help, right? Just 1 of 8 from the field, including all of those were threes, right? 1 of 8 from 3-point range, 4 of 4 from the free throw line, was just a +2 on the night. But in each and every game, I can tell you there are specific things that he does on the floor, be it his gravity on possessions. And again, I continue to implore you guys, when Sam Merrill is on the court, watch him move around. Watch how the defense defends him. Watch them have to run around like madmen trying to navigate the screens. He has real gravity. He opens up the floor for everybody else who is out there. His shot is just not falling. So it's been a horrendous start for him. Tonight's obviously not going to help, but he does things out there that definitely help. And I think it's helped Kenny Atkinson kind of keep him and continue to give him minutes out there. But yeah, I mean, you can obviously see the impact that he has. He's been an underrated defender this year. He's held his own. There will be matchups, unfortunately, that do not favor him, but even from some of the bigger matchups that we've seen from him, be a part of this year, Merrill has held his ground, and I couldn't be proud of him, because a lot of people are giving him a lot of crap. It's been something that to keep an eye on, and I'll continue to do so. But again, when Max comes back, there's going to be a tough conversation had between Kenny Atkinson and his roster of guys who deserve minutes, and is probably not going to be something that any of us want to truly be a part of. But I would love to be a fly on the wall in some of those conversations, because you look at a guy like Dean, who's also struggling to get his shot. You look at Merrill, who is struggling this season from 3-point range. You look at Niang, who can be rendered somewhat ineffective in certain matchups. Isaac Okoro. I really honestly don't think you can pull Isaac Okoro's minutes with the way that he has played if he is healthy out there. Isaac himself in 20 minutes at 12 points went 2 of 3 from 3-point range. Again, the volume, if you're one of those people out there that scream from the rooftops, Isaac Okoro is not a high volume shooter. Look, I am not going to combat you on that because the stats speak for themselves. What I will say is this. There's something to be said for a man who can take less threes than he did last year, but still end up with a career high in 3-point percentage and 3-point makes. The makes are important there, right? If he has taken fewer triples this year, but he's making more triples, that should tell you everything you need to know. He entered tonight shooting 48.3% from 3-point distance. That is surely going to increase after tonight's performance where he went 2 of 3 from range. After tonight's performance, I'm going to have to check the stats on it, but it's probably going to be closer to 50% than not. I would think that would be up around 49%, but I'll have to go and double check on the actual totals for that. But Okoro, even though he's not taking that shot with huge amounts of volume, he has been effective with taking it. He is making a career best 1.3 threes per game, despite taking just 2.6, which is the lowest since the 2022-23 season. And he's doing that, my friends, in the lowest minute totals of his career, just 21 minutes per game for Isaac. So again, if you're one of those people out there that live and die by the 3-point attempts, I don't know what to tell you because when he's getting them, he has been a knockdown shooter. I don't give a fuck if the defense is not or are not defending him because he is making them pay. If you're shooting around 50% from 3-point range, that's on the defense. I give a fuck if they're defending you. Just keep doing what you're doing, and the gravity will come. People will attack you. And Isaac, we know that he can drive and attack, close out, and he may not be garnering a ton of contact or generating a ton of foul calls when he does that, but we know that it is in his game. We also know that he's been quite an underrated facilitator when he does so as well. But Isaac, man, he's a guy that I do not fear losing minutes at all because of what he does, not only on the defensive end, but now as a 3-point marksman. So it has definitely been something that is impressed me this year. Everybody wanted to give up on Isaac, and after they give Isaac that contract, people were just shitting on him all the live long day, like, that's too much money for Isaac. Those people probably feel silly now because some of these trade targets that people are looking at and saying, oh, Isaac would probably be a good trade partner, or somebody to include in a deal to get back somebody who they felt was better or would give the Cavaliers more of a chance at getting, more of an impact out of the minutes that you're giving him. No, Okoro has been pretty damn solid. And the best thing about Isaac, guys, is it's not the defense, because defense has been stellar. He is a brilliant point of attack defender. The best thing about Isaac is that he does not require the ball to be impactful. Anybody who's at that 3, whether he's starting, whether he's coming off the bench, there are other guys who you probably want to have the ball in their hands more than Isaac. Isaac came in to tonight, if I'm not mistaken, 10th on the team in touches per game. I mean, all you need to be able to do if you're starting out there at the 3, the prerequisites are catch and shoot triples and hold your own defensively. Those are the prerequisites. It's not all you need to do, but that is where we start. And Isaac Okoro has arguably been the best option that they have had out there from a consistency standpoint without Max available, right? Dean is so prone to going hot and cold from the 3-point range. Caris LeVert is better off the bench, in my opinion. He can start. It's great to have him as an available option. But Isaac Okoro has been their best option to start there this season. We know, we get it. He's undersized, but so is Max and everybody else that you could potentially start there. I mean, what are you going to say? What are you going to say? So there is an argument to be made, especially with the way that they've won this year, that maybe when Max comes back, you continue to start Okoro. But I'm of the belief that they're probably going to slide Isaac back to the bench once Max comes back and is like fully reintegrated. I don't know, like the first couple of games that he has back in the rotation, maybe they keep Max on the bench, kind of ease him back into things, considering we don't need to rush him in. But I think once he really gets going, I do think that they probably elect to start Max because of the spacing that he brings to the table, can open the floor up even more. I think that they saw the fact that he shot 35% from range in back-to-back seasons, basically, and they're using it as as an argument to suggest that he is not really a great volume shooter. It doesn't impact the game from a gravity and spacing standpoint, as people point him out to be. But I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think there's a big difference between shooting, say, 35% on 4 or 5 attempts and shooting 35% on 6 or 7. I think what people also don't take into account is how much people actually paid attention to him from a defensive standpoint. I said this on the last stream, but it is the truth. He was second on the team last year in tightly defended triples behind Donovan Mitchell's 2 per game. Max had 1.8. He was 17th in the league in that area. That is no joke. That shows you how much defense respect his ability to shoot. And the whole question is, okay, it's a balancing act. What do you value more? The defense and the apparent ability to shoot consistently from Okoro on low volume now. Because the question here is, do you value the spacing or the all-around game that Max has more than what Isaac is bringing to the table from a defensive and spacing standpoint himself? Because what we know is that this Cavaliers team, despite not having the spacing out there from Max, they're still putting up, a top 5 points per game total. I mean, there are a million different arguments you can make for who should start, and I'm not going to tell you you're wrong or you're right based upon your viewpoint on that. But what I can say is that there are valid arguments on both sides. Because again, Cavaliers are top 2 in points per game, 121.2 points per game on the season prior to tonight. Second only to the Memphis Grizzlies by just 0.9 points. They are tops in the NBA in 3-point percentage at 39.9% entering tonight. They are tops in field goal percentage at 50.3%. They are top 5 in total 3-point makes at 401 prior to tonight. There's an abundance of statistical evidence that you could use if you're of the mindset that Isaac Okoro needs to continue to start. So I'm not going to argue with you on that. I'm simply just going to say, I think that maybe, just maybe, Max Strus deserves a chance to show what he can do. But again, this Cavaliers team has been off to a phenomenal start to begin the season. So if you're going to bring Max off the bench, I can't argue with that, right? Because as I see some people in the chat mentioning Caris LeVert, Ty Jerome, and Max Strus off the bench would make the bench elite. If you want to use that word, I don't think that you would be wrong either. But it's a good problem to have. It is the best problem to have. You can't go wrong either way, because if you keep Isaac out there, at least for the regular season, you know that you're going to get kind of the best of both worlds. You're going to get a low usage guy out there that has shown that he can now impact the game from beyond the arc, whether the defense has defended him or not. You know that you're going to get the absolute best effort from him on the defensive end. And with Max, you know that you're going to get a guy who's a proven volume shooter who could open the floor even more for the likes of Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell when they drive inside, and for both Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley. There's a multitude of ways that you can go with that. But it just shows you that the Cavaliers have an abundance of rotation caliber players. And we're not even at the point where we're talking about players who I believe should be in this Cavaliers rotation somewhere down the line, whether that be next year or the year after, with players like JT Thor, who we actually got to fucking see tonight with 5 minutes left in the game. That was awesome. That just does not happen too often this year where JT gets to enter a game with that much time left. Usually it's like 1-2 minutes left in the game. But no, in JT Thor's 5 minutes and 23 seconds of action, he would give us 4 points, a rebound, and go 4-4 from the free throw line. Draw some contact at the rim, which you love to see that. But yes, JT Thor, that is a player who I believe, at the very least, could warrant a rotational look in games where Niang or Wade are struggling a bit, and you might want to see, if another guy who is capable of playing that 4 or 5 position, because JT, although his natural position is probably 4, he can give you minutes as a small ball 5 too. So that's something to think about if you're not going to acquire a big on the buyout market or via the trade deadline. So, or a player at the trade deadline to fill that position. And you guys know how I felt about Paul Reed, but sadly he was, after being waived by Detroit, he was re-signed by Detroit in a very, very smart move by them to open up some more space. But yes, I really want to see what JT Thor can do given a real chance. I'm just not sure that's going to happen when George Niang is playing the best basketball of his career. And even with Dean Wade, like we haven't even gotten Max back yet. So it's really, really hard to forecast which one of these two-way talents is going to get an opportunity. And by the way, Amani Bates is back, right? We haven't seen Amani Bates on a NBA court at the very least this season. Luke Travers is a player who I think is very, very heady and can do a lot of things. His versatility to me is very impactful. And I think that if he could eventually develop a 3-point shot, he will be here. He will be right in this rotation by this time next year. And then Craig Porter Jr., right, who was out tonight. It's tough because this is such a deep and diverse cast of guards that we have that it just makes Craig Porter Jr. somewhat of an afterthought. So this team is deep. Suffice to say, this team is fucking deep. That's really all I can really say. Real Talk Tone says Max will literally fit right into Merrill's role. He is like Sam on steroids. I think they're a little different, but I see what you mean. Sam is definitely capable of doing a lot of the things that Max does, but Max is like, you take what Isaac can do, you take what Sam can do, you take what Dean can do, and you kind of roll it all into one. Like, he does all of these different things. Max is an underrated defender. He's a pretty solid rebounder for his size. He is a volume shooter. He can facilitate. He does all these things that a lot of our rotation caliber wings are capable of doing, all rolled into one. He's like a jack of all trades, master of none at this point in his career. But under Kenny Atkinson, I am very curious to see what that looks like, because I came into the season believing that Max Strus is like the perfect tailor-made player for this type of offense that we run. Again, second on the team and contested triples last year, or in the tightly defended triples rather, 17th in the NBA. And that is with very little, ball movement there, and during the like grinded out possession, slow paced ass Cavs under JB. Under a Kenny Atkinson who has his team playing at a top 10 pace, one would have to think that this dude is going to get more and more. He's probably going to get the most open looks that he has had in his entire career, even including his Miami days. So I truly believe that Max is tailor-made for this offense. But again, this team is just deep as fuck. But again, this performance tonight just exemplifies how impactful this bench can truly be, because Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, they can light the stat sheet up on any given night, but they only combined for 29 tonight. Jared Allen, 12 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. Evan Mobley got into foul trouble early on in this one, as he got 3 fouls heading into the second half, right? But in that third and fourth quarter, at least at the start of the fourth quarter, Mobley really caught fire and would finish the game with 21 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 7 of 9 from the field. Dropped a triple tonight. Got to give him that. 6 of 6 from the free throw line. He's been getting to the line more, and he did that in only 23 minutes of action. And then Okoro, who left tonight's game early, again, 12 points on 4 or 5 from the field. So all your production does not have to come from your starting five. And it is great. It is a great, great feeling to understand and know that you don't always have to rely on your 5-man starting unit to give you offensive production. This bench just can destroy teams on any given night. 17 from Niang, 7 from Mayo, 19 from LeVert, 5 from Jerome, who we haven't really even talked about tonight. And, Dean, even though he continues to struggle to shoot the ball, he still plays impactful defense and can rebound. 7 rebounds from Dean tonight, just 3 points. Ty Jerome, 5 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists. And with Caris LeVert playing the way that he has to begin the season, it's going to be hit and miss in certain games with Ty. We know that he's capable, but let me ask you guys this. Would you rather Ty Jerome's minutes and points production and facilitation be hit and miss every game, or would you rather Caris LeVert stay consistently impactful? Right? To me, I'm sorry, but I'm taking Caris LeVert's production, because as much of a pest as Ty Jerome can be on the defensive end, and as silky smooth as Ty can be when using that floater out there, we saw him do that a couple times tonight. It almost feels like Ty can never miss when he does that. But to me, I'm taking a consistently impactful Caris LeVert all the live long day. So keep giving him the minutes. I'm taking Caris. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but Caris at his peak, at the height of his powers under Kenny Atkinson, to me, he is a more impactful player than Ty Jerome is. And that is no slight to Ty. Ty has been awesome in his own right to begin the season, but Caris, due to not only his ability to score a ton of points, but his ability to defend out there, looking like a 3-and-D wing, something the Cavaliers have searched for a long time from a consistency standpoint. Caris just wins the battle for me in that regard. But I don't know. I can continue to yap about this team all night long, but again, this is a Brooklyn team that is Dennis Schroederless, and Dennis was a guy who had consistently given the Cavaliers respectable stat lines. Dennis was very, very impactful, but he just got moved. So this Brooklyn team, they were probably never going to win this one, but you got to take every opponent seriously, and I'm glad that the Cavaliers did that, and they absolutely shut it down tonight to the tune of 130-101 over this Nets team. Now, Cavaliers will have a few days off. Their next game is not until Friday, right? That's going to be, as Real Talk Tone says down here, a dogfight. I believe that to be the case. The Cavaliers the Cavaliers and Bucks have put on some really, really good performances against one another already this year. Right. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, this will be their 3rd matchup on the season. And hopefully Cleveland can inch ever closer to the season sweep. But time will tell. Time will tell. Anytime you have to face Giannis and Dame, it's going to be a tough one. We'll have to see how things shake out here. But hopefully on Friday, we'll be discussing the Cavaliers' 3rd straight victory over the Milwaukee Bucks. And then their final matchup against that team will be on March 9th. So we'll have to see. They'll be out for blood. Cavaliers need to bring their A game, but hopefully some more rest will help things. And maybe that's why they did not rush Max Strus back. That's what I'm thinking. I think that he makes his season debut on Friday after Spencer Davies reported that he did not suffer a setback, but the Cavaliers are just being cautious with him, right? They're making sure that they're not pushing him, because clearly at 23-4 with the best record in the NBA, you don't have to do that. We have the luxury of making sure that we're not rushing anybody who suffers an injury back, and the rest days that we are now getting, that's certainly helpful. Today is Monday. We don't play again until Friday. So that is a blessing in disguise, as much as I hate it, because we have to wait for Cavaliers basketball, for another 3-4 days, but oh well. That's how it goes. That is how it goes. But with that being said, as I always tell you guys, if you'd like to reach out, you know how you can. It's Cavalier_pod on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and more. If you'd like to be added to the It's Cavalier Discord chat, you know what to do. Leave a rating, leave a review, send a screenshot of said review to itscavalier53@gmail.com, and I will send you said invite. If you are watching over on X, do your boy a favor. go over to YouTube right now. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you are not yet a subscriber to the It's Cavalier podcast. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any Cavaliers coverage. As I say this every single stream, I go live after every game. Cannot be more proud of this team. Very, very appreciative of you all for spending all your game nights with me. It means the world to me. Go Cavs.